Jack, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Alec.
Absolutely. Do you want to give us a little bit of background about yourself, who you are, all those good things, just so the audience has a background before we dive into the goodies?
Yeah, so I'm a mortgage lender based here in Chicago. A little backstory about me. I was born and raised in a small town called Morris, Illinois. If you know where Joliet, Illinois is, it's about 20 more minutes along 80. Went to high school there, graduated, and then kind of moved into the suburbs of Tinley Park. Went to Western Michigan for 4 years, got a degree in finance. Always just have been good with investments and like numbers and things like that. Really close family friend of mine, Brad Bowden. He's a well-respected name in the mortgage business here in Chicago. Kind of brought me in as like his young guy or junior to kind of learn the business, really fell in love with it, and here I am a couple years later.
That's awesome. So unexpected that you got into the business, would you say, or kind of expected? I mean, I know you're coming from a finance background, but...
Yes and no. Like, if you would have said 10 years ago, like, are you going to be doing mortgages for your life? Probably not. But after, like, learning with him, seeing, like, what goes into a transaction, everyone's different, whether it's $1 million loan or a $100,000 loan. Everyone's happy at the end of the day. And, yeah, I mean, that's really about it. And it's different, you know, like... It's always constantly changing rules and regulations. I'm sure you guys have that in the insurance business as well. And then obviously right now rates are higher than they had been over the last couple of years during COVID. And right now we got a bunch of tariff stuff going on, which should be helping rates, but unfortunately rates only are continuing to go up right now, which is not making a lot of sense to us. Hopefully this is like a short-term thing and they start to come back down, but we'll see.
That's so interesting. If you don't mind, just hold it a little bit closer, like that.
Sorry.
Like that. You're good. I just want to make sure, because I don't want to go through all this and then it's like, oh shoot, the audio's bad. You know what I mean? But anyways, so yeah, it's crazy so I own a couple investment properties, and I mean, I was locked in. I have two personal loans, and then a handful of commercial loans, and I just had to refinance my commercial loans.
Oh yeah.
I went from like 3 to like 7.5.
And let me guess, your payment like doubled or almost tripled based on that, right?
So one of them went from $1,200 to $1,850 or something like that. So I'm running the math and I'm like, okay, an extra $600 times 12 months. It's on a 5-year, 5-year term. So it's like, okay, 12 times 600. Let's call it, just for easy math, $6,000.
Yep.
Times 5. I'm like, oh, it's getting expensive. I'm paying them an additional $30,000 over a 5-month period.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy on just what like the rates from back in like COVID when you could get a 2 or 3 rate till now like in the mid 6s. It's crazy. Like that was free money back then, and I remember prices of homes were going like over 100, 150 over asking, and people were like thought people were crazy for paying that. But like looking back on that now, like those were actually the smart people. Their prices have appreciated more since then, and also like the 2s and the 3s are like free money pretty much. Like you're never going to pay that loan off early. You're never going to refinance it. And a lot of the clients that have properties with those rates right now are, if they're buying something new, they're going to turn those into investment properties like you. They're cash flowing immediately, and it's just like a free asset for them pretty much at this point.
Yeah, 100%. And like, yeah, right. Hindsight is always 20/20, and I think everybody tries to time the market or wait for this or wait for the perfect opportunity. Like, as we have seen, I mean, my mom was buying real estate pre-2008. I was not old enough to buy real estate, but the stories I hear from her and, like, how she got through 2008 and all of these things, right? My point being, there's not a perfect time.
Exactly.
And, like, you just need to get in.
Yeah.
Because if you bought pre-COVID, you're up a couple $100,000 in equity post-COVID.
Yeah.
And your rate was lower, like you just said.
Yeah.
So it's like...
You get the double effect there, like for the better, obviously.
100%. So the way I always think about it is like a lot of people typically have one home, at least one home.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, like I've made $300,000 over the past 5 years on this home because it's gone up in value. But they can't comprehend the thought of having more than one home.
Yeah.
And making that $300,000 5 times.
Yep.
If you just had 5 homes, you would have made $1.5 million in appreciation. And for some reason, I don't know what it is. Now, obviously, there's a ton of real estate investors. It's become mainstream. You got PE, you got all the syndications, all these good things, right? But majority of people, what I find is like they can't get over that hurdle, or they don't care enough to buy more than one. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm kind of with you. I've a lot of family friends that have been really successful, have multiple properties. My parents have multiple properties. Now, it might be a little hard at the beginning to go from year 1 to 2, but once you've done it, like you said, the appreciation is crazy. And like where my parents have their other homes, it's down in Florida on the beach, or a lake house over in Michigan. They bought the lake house for say like $300,000. It's worth probably over $1 million right now.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
It's like, why not
and it
real
seems
estate?
like during COVID, everyone wanted to buy a lake house. So like a bunch of our neighbors up there live here in the city, and they didn't have anything to do in the city, so they moved up to the lake full time pretty much. So
and
like,
it's free. Like, you're not like trapped. That's why I moved to Florida. We were like locked down.
yeah.
Like, and Florida was like
I
wide
mean,
open.
we were doing
nothing.
dinners with like 15, 20 people a night just because we were all together all the time versus
good.
like, just you and your family locked up together. Like we had fun up there. Like
that's
we
good.
said we would go back to it if we could, honestly.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Maybe not in
made a
terms
bad
of
time
like
good.
Yeah. Like good times, obviously interest rates were lower. Like overall the economy was going pretty well.
Sure. Interesting. Well, that's super cool. So you said lake house in Michigan.
Yep.
And then condo in Florida.
Yeah. They just closed on it in Cape Coral about like a month or two ago.
They probably got a really good deal from the hurricanes, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was shocked because going from the market up here, like multiple bidding wars, even with rates where they're at right now, down there in Cape Coral alone, I think there's over 1,000 homes in the market. Some of them have been listed for over a year.
They just got smashed by 2 hurricanes.
Yeah,
like
and then
massive
also
hurricanes.
a ton of new construction inventory. There was a new construction listed for like 1.5, ended up selling for like 960. Like
It's crazy.
and it just shows you those builder margins are pretty crazy.
Yeah. my mom's getting into the development space right now. She's kind of progressed. She's had an awesome career. I look up to it. She's kind of at that space of like starting to develop. It's a 2-year project timeline. I think it's like 50 or 60 units or something. So she's kind of in that space. I've always wanted to get there. I don't think I'm there just yet. It does take a little bit more capital, a little bit more patience, a little bit more time investment.
Yeah.
Project manager, all this stuff, right? But it does seem that the margins are quite large when it comes to builders.
Yeah, I just, it blows my mind. Like, you can take a $500,000 haircut like that, and maybe they're losing money, maybe not. Who knows? We just don't know.
That's true. I do know from being in Miami that like Lehigh Acres, are you familiar with that area at all?
Yep,
It's like south of Cape Coral.
Yeah.
Every developer ever in Florida that doesn't have a ton of money, that does want to get their feet wet, is going to Lehigh Acres, buying a $40,000 lot, selling their house for like $350 to $400. I don't know what the margins are on that. Would it be worth it to break even and learn? Could be.
Yeah.
It certainly
Especially
could
for
be.
your first time. Like,
Exactly.
It's better than losing money.
Exactly. And I feel like there's a big margin for error in construction rather than like just acquiring an already existing property. So
Yeah. A lot more
interesting.
moving factors because when you start building a house, the economy might be great versus like today with all the tariff stuff. It's like, what's going on?
costs increased like 20%.
People are freaking out. It's like, when instability, I don't know why I couldn't say that. When instability comes into the market, it makes a lot of people freeze. Even the people with the high net worths that are usually doing all this stuff, it makes them take a step back and look and say, hey, are my buyers of this new development going to be able to afford this?
Correct.
So it's really, it'll be crazy to see how things shake out over the next, even just the next 3 to 6 months, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Where do you think it's going?
To be honest, I don't know, because if I had that crystal ball, I wouldn't be sitting here with you,
We all want that crystal ball.
Yeah. We've been telling clients in terms of like interest rates, I think they'll probably stay here at least till the end of the year. And then maybe we'll go into the low 6s, high 5s sometime next year. But once again, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Do you see more inventory popping up, or like what do you?
I don't see anything really to pop up more inventory. Because think about it, if rates go down to all of a sudden like 5 overnight, well, that's just going to increase the buying power with the people that are already looking.
Prices already go up.
And bring more people into the market. Now, yes, you'll get some people that will list their house because now rates are lower and they want to go buy something else. But I think you're just going to multiply the fact that more people can afford more. You're just going to keep prices continuing up. And I don't see anything really to get out of the cycle, especially with Chicago. We're gridlocked around the lake here. they can only build one direction.
Yeah.
Like, you're running out of space. An event, no one wants to go out to the far burbs. It's like everyone wants to be within a good distance to the city. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough unless they can maybe like take some of that old office space like downtown, especially in the South Loop, and do some conversions. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that.
100%. And I obviously haven't been in Chicago for that long, 4-ish months, but it's like, from my understanding, downtown is kind of dissipating. A lot of businesses are leaving. Crime, like Citadel, the biggest hedge fund, is going to Miami.
Yep.
Like that's part of the reasons why I bought that house down there is there's going to be and who knows how many workers actually go down, but the headquarters is going to be down there, tax purposes. Ken Griffin's from Florida. Like, I just see a lot of companies moving. Is my point.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is the tax policies, and then obviously like the city policies. Like, I've never been to Miami personally, but I can picture it's very different in terms of like crime and stuff than Chicago.
It has its areas for sure, but like, Chicago, like, if you have the taxes, you better have the safety.
Yeah.
If you have the crime, you better not have the tax. Like, there's no balance. Like, I just feel like we're completely thrown in the whack.
And same thing as Miami. I mean, Chicago has its spots, but like when people are getting robbed, say in like Lincoln Park,
exactly,
like,
it's a problem.
Yeah, people aren't happy, and if they're really unhappy, like Ken did, he'll take his money elsewhere in his business.
Exactly. I just watched Instagram. Actually, they're installing 50 new speed cameras, I think, across the city.
Yeah.
Are you getting those a lot?
I haven't gotten any speed tickets, but the parking tickets, they're unreal, man.
How much is a parking ticket?
I had a stretch. Oh, it depends. I think normal ones are $60 or $75, but
you know who owns our parking meters, by the way?
Like Saudi Arabia.
Saudi. That's crazy.
Yeah. All that tax revenue just gone.
I don't know what bright mind did that. I'm sure it can be found, but I just recently learned that and I thought it was hysterical.
Yeah.
Let's sell our like infrastructure. Sure.
But I think anywhere between like cheapest ticket like $50 to $100. I mean, it adds up quick. And then I think if you get 3 and you don't pay them, you're getting your car booted. I passed 2 or 3 cars on the way here. That's booted. Cool. I'm like, that's no fun.
Wild left turn here. I was just in Iowa I'm not a very spiritual or religious person. So I was like, okay, how do I get my feet wet? I think it's the one thing that I'm missing. So I went to study a little bit of shamanism in Iowa. You know what shamanism is?
I do not.
All right. It's like, it goes way back to like Native American tribes and just other tribal groups, I guess. But I'm there in a class. I got a $15 ticket. And then my car was parked there all day. So I got a $15 ticket, a $5 ticket, and then a $0 ticket because I think they felt bad for me. But it was like, wow, this is so cheap. Yeah. Like, it was cheaper to get those tickets than to pay for parking in the parking garage. I was like, all right.
Here, like you better pay for the $10 or $15 parking to park on the street, however long you're to be there. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a ticket 5 times that. Honestly,
it's insane, man. Okay, so what else do you see coming? Do you see anything else coming for the future? Like, what advantages can you give buyers? What advice are you giving them currently? Like, if they do want to come and lock in a property or pre-approval or?
Yeah, so I would say the first thing is, you can probably edit this part out for a second. But going into a pre-approval, don't think of it like as a big scary thing. Like, for me to do a pre-approval, it takes probably about 10 or 15 minutes. We will do a soft credit check. So if you monitor your credit, you're not going to see your inquiry. It's not going to ding your score. And it's going to be pretty basic info that you're going to know off the top of your head. Name, date of birth, where you work, how much money you make. We'll do that soft credit check, and that's about it. And then depending on the credit score, we'll point you in the right direction for what loan program. Most of my first-time home buyers are going into 30-year fixed. It's the smart thing to do, not knowing what the market's going to be doing.
Let me ask you this. I think this brings up a really good point, and I think a lot of people misunderstand this. FHA versus conventional. FHA 3.5% versus conventional 5%.
And actually, if you're a first-time home buyer, you can do conventional 3%.
There we go.
I'm going to say conventional over FHA any day of the week.
I'm with you 1,000%.
It's a better loan program. Your mortgage insurance is not on there for the life of the loan. And then 2, getting an FHA offer accepted in Chicago anywhere.
Nightmare.
It's very hard to do right now.
You got to paint the walls. You got to put up railings. Okay, so can you break down the additional inspection that comes with the FHA?
Yeah, so whenever you have a property, you're going to do an appraisal, but FHA's appraisals are a little different. They got to make sure there's no health or safety issues. And the big thing is like peeling or chip paint. So like if you
especially pre-1978 lead-based paint.
Yeah. So if you got like outside window trim that's like peeling and chipping, like that's got to be taken care of before closing. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. And then let's see. Even with a conventional offer right now, if you're contingent's pretty hard to get around too.
By contingent, you mean you have to sell your property before you buy another property.
Exactly.
Because you can't carry the double mortgage because you don't have the income to meet the DTI requirements.
Yeah. So if you're contingent or an FHA loan, your offer's immediately at the back of the pack.
I would assume, and I don't know the market that well, this might be a realtor question. I'm assuming if you're 5%, you almost have 0% anyways because the market's so competitive.
It depends. I mean, you can kind of work the system if you want. Like, let's say you have 20% down, and I can put 20% down on the pre-approval letter, and then let's say in the process you wanted to switch to 5% or 3%. Yeah, great. You already have the place under contract. That can be a little tip or trick to help win an offer. But like, if you're going up against a cash offer, I mean, it's tough. And we'll have clients go 50, 60, 70,000 over asking right now on say like a 2 or 3 unit. From 500 to 700,000, they're still losing.
That's insane. So one thing that I actually noticed. Okay, so when I first moved here, I was like gung ho about buying a place, right? So I had a place under contract in Albany Park, not a great area, but the investment was there. The property was okay, but I could only use. It was a 2-unit, but everybody puts an illegal in the basement.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They swap it to a third. They get like $800 to $1,000 a month for the basement, whatever the case is, right? And
I know where you're going with this exactly.
Well, yeah, you can only use 1 unit of income instead of 2. Yeah. And then like I was having, I take depreciation.
You probably have to get the stove moved out for the appraisal. So
exactly, like cap stove move out, and then it just became one. I didn't like get pre-approved properly, and I should have done a commercial loan, but I tried to do like a 10% down conventional, and it just ended up not working out. So I was like, screw it, just cancel, got my earnest money back, whatever. But I would assume that a lot of people think going in that you can use 2 other units of income, the one you're not living in, but in reality, you can only use 1 because it's not a legal unit.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing, is making sure that that's a legal unit. Otherwise, we're going to have issues. And the cool thing about working with my company is we don't order from like an AMC. Well, what's an AMC? That's just like a big company that will place an appraisal order. You don't know who's going to get your appraisal, whether it's a multi-unit appraiser going out to the burbs or a burb appraiser coming to the city. I think it's really important to know like your appraising team. So we have a panel, it's a round robin, and it's all appraisers that my team has worked for with the last like 15 years. And if there is an issue with the appraisal, they're going to call us up before putting anything on paper and say, hey, Jack, can the listing agent give us any other comps to help support this? Because that's the last thing you want is to kill a deal.
Appraisers are your best friend. Even though even though there's some like gray area in there, like really they matter a lot. Yeah. They really matter a lot.
And they can make or break your deal. Especially 100%. Like on the big banks, they don't, once the appraisal's in, that's it. We had
like you're talking like a Chase, a U.S. Bank,
any of the big boys, Chase, Wells, Bank of America, any of those guys. We had a client that came from them, was buying a house in Naperville, listed at like 1.3. I think the appraisal came in at like 1.1. Well, they didn't appraise it right. We got the file, sent our appraisers out there. We came in at value, saved the
Close the deal.
Close the deal. Realtor's happy, client's happy.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Okay.
And then I think going over to like your neck of the woods, like these insurance prices, like what's going on, man?
My insurance went up. Yours probably went up. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Obviously, the hurricanes and the California wildfires, and
I don't think most people realize like the wildfires or the hurricanes, even though it's way far away from here, it affects everyone's insurance rates across the country.
I mean, insurance, call it a scam if you want. I don't know. I hate insurance. I think it's ridiculous, but we have to have it to protect the mortgage. I pay a lot of money every year in insurance for my portfolio. If you do have a big portfolio, you're spending a ton of money on insurance. And how often do you use it? Probably never.
But in the event that something does go wrong,
it's there.
Yep.
So it's a very interesting space. It's a very interesting thing to be a part of. Obviously, every insurance company is there to make money, and they're going to make that money no matter what.
They're a business too.
Whether it be raising the rates because you're going to be the one paying out for the $2.5 billion that they pay out for the fire claims in California or the hurricane claims. You know what I mean? Like, the world works off of money as much as you love it. Sell or be sold. Everyone's always trying to get in your pocket, get your dollars. I had a podcast on Friday. We were talking about tipping culture, for example. Like, you go next door, get a coffee that's $9 now, and they still expect you to tip after you pay sales tax, after you're taxed 30% on your dollar. Like, you're out of your goddamn mind. Like,
and I love you brought this up. Like, some of the, like, you know, tipping like is like usually like 20% is like considered a good tip.
If I sit down at a restaurant, like, and you like serve me, yeah, but anywhere else, absolutely not.
But some of these places, like, their first tip is like 25%, 35, and like 40. It's like, whoa. And it's like, especially for some of these places, it's just like they hand you food and that's it. Like, you didn't do anything for me.
And I understand the thesis behind it is like, you don't ask or you don't get what you don't ask for. That's their entire approach. And I think that there's quite a bit of truth to it. Some people feel guilty for not tipping. If you got someone behind you watching, you know that when they flip that screen around for you to tip and then you flip it back and they see 0, they're like, God damn.
Yeah.
Like, the workers are like, God damn. But I mean, too many people are trying to get your money. Too many hands in your pockets. You got to really protect that stuff. And it's very easy to make a lot of money. It's also very easy to not make a lot of money.
Yeah.
I've been in both positions. Ran into a bunch of money very early on, bought my rental properties. Then my income kind of dissipated as I moved to Miami, had to build it back up. So, like, money's fleeting. With you for interest rates, and you talk about when interest rates were low, now they're high. It's a very different world.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster out there.
And I think a lot of people really, once they get it, they just think that they're always going to have it.
Yeah.
And then they're doing crazy shit.
And it's crazy. Like, you can, on like some of these crypto meme coins, you can turn like $1,000 into like $1 million in like a span of 12 hours. Like,
that's actually crazy.
Who would have thought we'd be living in a world like that?
Have you done any crypto or anything? It's not my world.
I dabble in some crypto, normally like the big normal ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some XRP. Most of my portfolios in like the stock market, I'm a big fan of Tesla stock. Love it or hate it.
I have a Tesla. I own a Tesla.
Me as well.
I love Elon. What model?
I got a Model 3.
Me too.
Best car I've ever owned, driven.
Do you have a charger at home?
I do. I got a level 2.
Okay.
So I can go.
Wait, what do you mean level 2?
That's a level 2 is like the charger. Like, it does like, I think like up to like 40 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, like it's like attached to your house or something. And
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
But I love it. I can, for what I do, for all my driving, I've never really gone to a supercharger. I've gone maybe 5 times just because I've needed to. But other than that, it's like, and that's a breeze too.
Do you own your house or do you rent your house?
So me and my brother own a townhouse out in the burbs right now.
Nice, man.
And then trying to get to you, the goal is maybe this fall we'll rent it out, and then hopefully get down to the city because my commute's brutal right now.
How long?
Anywhere between like 50 minutes to 2 hours. I would say average.
Shit.
I would say average is like an hour 15 each way, which isn't terrible, but like.
You rip audiobooks?
Unfortunately, not really. Every once in a blue moon, I'll throw on like a good podcast, like a Nelk podcast or something.
Love Nelk. Obviously, Miami, like running into them, like Steve.
Yeah. I was gonna say, have you seen them out? I'm sure.
Yeah. They're always at. They went to Moxie's quite a few times. Steve lived in SLS. Yeah.
Very crazy, different experience down there. Normally, I'm just a big music guy. Rip on a normal playlist and.
So one thing do you know what a family office is?
I don't.
All right, so it's like somebody that manages money for a very wealthy family or a couple wealthy families. So I was going to the website is familyoffices.com. We're a member and we go to events, right? It's like ultra wealthy people. It's a very amazing place to be because like for us, we were on the lower end of the wealth. So we were like kind of the like people that weren't wealthy, like learning from all these people. Like,
yeah.
It's really good to be at the bottom of a group because it pulls you up.
Yeah.
Right. That's the point. So we go there and it's me and my mom, my brother. My brother's 16, by the way. This guy lives a fucking dream. He going to this shit at 16 years old. Like if I was going to this, he has 2 properties at 16.
That's awesome.
So he's like eons above in front of where my mom, like everyone was. So it's very inspiring to see. I hopefully he does some really good stuff with it. But the founder of the group is like, I rip books on 3x speed, audiobooks all the time.
Wow.
I can smack a book in an hour at 3x. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay. So I try it, and certainly like I can't do 3x. I can't comprehend that fast, but I've been training my mind to comprehend faster by going 1.5 to 2x. And I sit around 1.8x because if it's faster,
you're not really absorbing it.
Yeah, and depending on the reader, their cadence, all those things. But so every day to work to here, I'm just ripping audiobooks, and I love it. It's like 30.
Okay.
But it's like, I actually really enjoy it. Like I don't know, it's weird. I'm training for a marathon.
I'll definitely have to give it a try because I got ample amount of time to.
Exactly, that's what I mean. And like every time I read a book, it's like, damn, I wish I knew this when I was like 15.
Yeah.
It's like a cheat code that you have that nobody else has unless they've read the book. But I'm like, man, I just wish I would have known this sooner.
It's like those memes you see out there, like in '08, instead of being like eating lunch in first grade, I should have been buying properties, you know?
Totally. And then I'm running a marathon on May 4th. I just signed up for that yesterday.
Here in Chicago? Or?
Here in Chicago, Chicagoland, Schaumburg. But it's actually an interesting story because about 4 years ago, I tried to run this same marathon. I could run a half marathon tomorrow backwards, no problem. I'm decently fit. Like it's not an issue for me, but my knee and my foot always gave me issues. So like 4 years ago, I tried to run this same marathon, and every step I took, left side of my left leg was like numb. It's like, fuck. And I ran like 2 halves before it. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I just like stopped, dropped out of the race. I was like, I'm not going to, I don't want to like injure myself permanently. So now here we are, full circle. I'm going to run it again and smack it. And if
awesome.
I have to crawl across, like
you're
my knees across,
like
I don't give a shit. Like, like I will run my leg off this time. I'm committed because I'm not letting this bitch beat me twice.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do for like recreation? Like what are your go-tos?
If I'm doing like working out, I'm a big runner. Used to do a lot of lifting when I was in college, and unfortunately just with my commute, haven't really been like that focused on getting into the gym, even though I know I should be. But in terms of like recreation and stuff, big boater in the summer, do some like wakeboarding, wake surfing.
Nice.
Pretty good
at the lake house or here?
At the lake house.
Yeah.
I can do some like flips and 360s and spins and things like that. So
that's super cool.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm good at, but I always thought that stuff was really cool.
Yeah. So growing up, I've always kind of been into like, you could say like the action sports. Go snowboarding in the winter.
Nice.
That stuff in the summer.
Nice.
That type of stuff.
Nice. Snowboarding hurts to fall.
It does.
I have a snowboard. I'm like decently good. I can do 360, no flips or anything, but I always thought I would be better at skiing, but I never gave it a try.
I started skiing and transitioned into snowboarding when I was really young. And
really?
Back then it was like, if you snowboarded, you were like badass.
Yeah.
I switched over. And I think part of the reason for me is I'm a smaller guy. I'm 5'4" for those that are listening. So I played football and basketball all the way up until 8th grade. And I just knew I wasn't going to play in high school because of my size.
Sure.
Nothing I could really do. So that's kind of why I got into those type of things.
That's interesting. You know, going back to, this brings up an interesting point. I think a lot of people don't have great self-awareness, and they try to do things that they are just not going to be able to do. Like you with your athleticism because of your height, for example. Like, yeah, maybe you could have done something with it different, whatever, but you're like, man, I'm not going to go into the NFL. I'm not going to the league. Like, what the fuck am I doing?
To do something, you know?
Yeah, and so I played football through. And obviously, I'm thankful for. I feel like it like coded into my DNA, like just health. Like I feel like I can get very healthy very quickly. Like if I get out of shape a little bit, like I can snap back very quickly because it was just what I did when I was younger, and I'm thankful for that. But at the same time, I wish I was ripping like debate classes, like speech, debate. I don't know, something a little bit more useful for this industry. As thankful as I am, I think there could have been a better approach, which is, I don't know. I just look back on that and I'm like, interesting.
Yeah. And going into like that school aspect, I got to ask you, like when you were in high school, did you guys have any classes related to like money, debt, real estate?
Accounting was really what got me interested in business. But then so this is so interesting too. My mom was very successful in real estate very young, but she never really like pushed it on me, never really like said, hey, invest in real estate this way, that way. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, cliche, just like everybody else in the world. And that really got me interested in real estate. But to answer your question directly, we had an accounting class, kind of a joke, but it was cool.
Yeah.
You guys?
Same thing with us. I took accounting 1 and 2 in high school. And then we had one class that was 1 semester long that talked about like credit cards, things like that. But I just really wish they like for me and you, like we know like this stuff, but like there's a lot of people out there like our age and even older than us that have no clue about like credit cards, credit, real estate investing, things like that.
So how many people's parents co-sign for their loan or give them a gift for down payment?
The gifts, a lot. I would say at least 80%.
Thank you. Everybody's out here thinking like, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, I'm 27. So everybody's out here thinking, like, once you start getting to my age, like, okay, like, maybe you should be able to buy a property. But, like, from age 20 to 25, I feel like everybody's like, man, how they buying a property? How they doing this? It's their parents.
Yeah.
Like, if you're second gen or, like, if your parents are willing to help you that way, like,
they want to see you be successful, too.
And it gives you such an advantage. So, like, when people are trying to compare themselves, like, oh, but they're doing that, if your parents aren't helping you, you can't even compare.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of the times there's no way they can carry the DTI. They don't make enough money.
Like people that are self-employed, like
oh my god,
they're going into the business writing off all their income, and it's like I need a 2-year average, and it's like, all right, let's get mom and dad involved, and great, and we like to call those kitty condos.
Kitty condos. Whatever you got to do to get in. Like the first condo I bought was $110,000. My mom co-signed it, and like. That was that. Like, that was what I used to get in.
But
like,
the earlier you can get in, the better off you're going to be. Like
100%.
I'm sure you have the same mindset that I do. Like, every property that I own, it's like, I never want to sell it. Like, it's going to become an investment tool, vehicle for me, my family eventually, things like that.
100%. Absolutely. So, what other common things are you seeing in the market right now? What else you got?
I think... So rates right now, I would say, they've been changing today like crazy, but somewhere average is like 6.5 perfect scenario.
Okay.
I think
is that discount points or no?
No points. I'm not a big believer in points, especially in this market when we know rates are going to be coming down, hopefully in the next year or two.
You're just planning on a refi, right?
Yeah. And then my company offers no closing cost refinances. Well, if you just spent $5,000 or $6,000 on points a year ago, that all gets thrown out the window when we refi.
Sure.
So
that's interesting.
I would say put more money towards principal like every month, or put more as like a down payment versus paying points. But going into like, I think 7 was a big mental thing for people. Like when rates were at or above 7, it was like, oh my God, like I got to shop around. We were getting shopped like crazy. And now like that we're under 7 for the most part, people are like, this is normal. Like also rates have been here for the last 2 years. Much.
I almost raised for that deal I was talking about. I almost went and raised just $500,000 from a private investor for 10%. Like, what's the difference between 7 and 10%, 3%? Like, is that really that big of a deal? Like, I could almost just go to the private market and hit it.
Yeah,
it was a very interesting time. And obviously, way back in the day, we had 15%, 18%, 20% rates. It's like, is 7 really that high? No, but it's compared to what we're used to, and now people got to stick up their butt. So it's like, it's so high.
But also, you're comparing 18% to maybe like $50,000 versus like
for
now,
a house.
Like these
prices
are insane right now. So it really magnitudes it. I feel like.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. So, no closing cost refinances?
Yeah. So my company, we maintain the loan, which means we service it. So it's not going to get sold off after closing. So we make most of our money from servicing the loan. And the CEO of our company was like, hey, I don't want to lose any business, meaning like the servicing business, to like refi people.
What company are you with?
So I'm with Select Lending Services.
Okay.
It's a DBA for CMG Financial. They're a top 5 national lender. Most people don't know it, but they're actually bigger than Guaranteed Rate. The reason I say Guaranteed Rate is because everyone in Chicago knows Guaranteed Rate.
Sure. Or Wintrust, right?
Yeah, but CMG didn't really have a presence in Chicago here until me and my mentor, Brad, we switched over about 1.5 years ago.
So is it a franchise? Like you guys are franchisees? Or like
nope, so we're a joint venture.
JV.
A JV of CMG. So
Okay.
with Jameson Sotheby's, a real estate company here in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
So Jameson owns 50%, CMG owns 50%, and because it's a JV, it just hit me, not CMG.
Interesting.
But our
And
underwriters,
how are you guys making the money on the servicing then? Like CMG is making the money, or you guys in
no,
particular?
the company is. So like
CMG.
all that interest that you're paying on the loan,
Yeah.
because it's a lot, it's them making the money on it.
Not your group, not as a JV, but CMG.
Yeah, the company as a whole.
Got it. Do you guys get profit share from that?
We do not. No.
Okay, I was gonna say. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah,
I was like,
that'd be pretty crazy,
that's a
right?
first because I've never heard of that. Like that would be. I mean, obviously you can close it under your own book and all of those good things, but I just didn't know if you guys were that big. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and they're actually in the process right now of buying a federally chartered bank in Wisconsin that should really help, and they should be able to directly borrow from the Fed funds, bringing our costs down, helping lower rates. And we already have, I think, one of the most competitive rates in the city currently.
That's crazy. It's a very interesting approach. I think it'd be so cool to own a bank.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Tell me a little bit about your brother. How old is he?
My brother is 23.
So 24 and 23.
Yeah, he
that
just
is
turned
so
23.
badass.
So we're 16 months apart to the day. He was a COVID baby, so he was graduating high school his senior year when COVID hit. So he didn't really know what he wanted to do. Did he want to go away to school? And with like schools being shut down, like COVID hit at the end of my freshman year, sophomore and junior year, we were all remote. And he didn't really like want to do online school. So he's like, I don't really think I want to go to school. So kind of like me, a family friend was like, hey, I work in logistics, like come check this out. And he's been in logistics since I think 2021.
Nice.
Now he works from home and loves it. So
That's awesome.
not the working from home part. He wants to be in an office.
I would imagine like a balance is better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like maybe like a couple days at home, but then a couple in office, because then you still have that human interaction.
Yeah.
It can get very like lonely in that home by yourself.
You can, yeah.
Get sucked into nothingness.
Yeah, deep dark hole.
Okay, so I've also heard, and I didn't realize this till recently, but there's a lot of people in logistics here in Chicago.
There
It's like
is. There's a
very
lot
big
of
hub.
Now this is not my wheelhouse, but I know he says there's a bunch of companies down here that are like headquartered and stuff. So
I would assume, is there a port? There's a port here, right? Maybe not port.
not a
but-
port, but they have a lot of traffic like coming up the Illinois River through and Mississippi, like through Chicago and stuff.
I think the rail.
The rails are big
Rail
in
is
Chicago.
huge, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Wow. It's such an interesting world. Transport of whatever.
Yeah.
It's
How everything
very-
gets around.
Yeah, very, very intriguing. I always see these crazy people talking about you need a trucking company on social media. It's like the new fad.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple of years ago, but there's always typically a couple things that are super hot because it does make a lot of money, but it's also hard to be good. I would say real estate, lending, insurance, trucking.
Yeah, well, those are
what
things that
else?
everyone's always going to need. You're always going to need to buy a house. You're always going to need insurance. You're always going to need to get the food to the stores for people to buy.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about Tesla semis?
I didn't know that I would love my Tesla as much as I do when I got into it. Now, this is where me and my brother might disagree a little bit. He doesn't think they're going to be a thing.
What?
But I've
Like
seen
at all? Like break that down.
He doesn't think like the Tesla semis are going to have like the
Oh, okay.
range to do it. Well, I've seen videos that they've pulled 80,000 pounds, 500 miles on one charge. Like,
I saw a Model X pulling a semi trailer.
I think I know they're building a new factory right now for the semis, but I think once that gets online, which is supposed to be at the end of this year, I think you're going to start to see those pop up. Now, they need to build the charging infrastructure for the semis. It's a little different than like the cars and stuff, but I think once that gets popped up on like the major highways and stuff, you're going to start seeing them around.
Interesting.
And I don't know about you, I just love like not going to the gas station anymore. I wake up every morning and I have like a full tank pretty much.
In Miami, it was a pretty nice suburb, and all my neighbors would get gas delivered. Like,
Bougie.
yeah, because they were old on the older side, and they're like, one, I don't want to leave. Two, like convenience. Three, it's like you never know what's gonna happen at the gas station. Nothing good ever happens at a gas station.
Yeah.
ever.
You got some
never
some
ever.
people looking at you. You're like, whoa, what's
People
going
looking
on?
at you, homeless guy asking you for money. This guy's drinking booze in the back. Like, it's just a not good spot. So taking that out of your life is super beneficial.
Yeah.
No oil changes, no headlights. What do you think about I think insurance for Teslas is going to skyrocket, though, because everybody's vandalizing them.
I got to ask you on the insurance topic, do you have Tesla insurance in Illinois? Or did you even know Tesla had their own insurance company?
I did, and I think they rate it as like every month it changes, or every 3 months or something.
Yeah,
so you have it?
I have it. Okay. Every month it changes, and it's like a scorecard. It's out of 100, and like the lower you go, obviously the higher the rate. And I have like a 96, I think. So not terrible, and my rate's good. It's lower than anywhere else I got.
$96?
No, like 90. Like out of like 100, like the score is like 96, and I think I pay like 150, 160 bucks a month for mine.
Sorry, break that down. Score out of 100.
Yep. So like perfect driving like
is 100.
Is 100, and then like obviously the worst driving you do, and like the biggest things they rate you on is like speed. So anything over 85 they consider like excessive speeding. So that kills your score. I just
drove 95 straight to Iowa. Like, I would have like a 10.
And then let's see what else is there. Like driving without like being buckled, following too close to somebody else. There's a whole list of like maybe like 5 or 6 things. But as long as you're not like, I don't know, like I could consider myself like a good driver. Like, yeah, I drive like fast, but like not over 85. And
what year is your Model 3?
2023.
Damn, you got a new one. Mine's in 2019. I think I pay like $115. How much you pay?
Like 150, 160.
150, 160.
But you're also a little older too, which probably helps.
Yeah, once you hit 25, you'll get the
and also
not young driver discount.
Yeah, and also the Tesla insurance, they ding you for how many miles a year you drive. So
yeah,
I put on between like 25 and 30,000 a year. So
yeah, more expensive.
If I was only doing like 10,000 miles a year, it would probably be like right there, like $90 a month or something.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. I always knew they had it. I don't have it, so I was like, interesting. What do you think about the vandalism though? Do you have any opinions on that? Like,
I think it's just a shame because most of the people that have those cars support like the green energy, things like that. And also it's just personal property. Like, it would suck if I walked out to my car and like, I don't know, it was spray painted, dented, who knows, on
Do you
fire.
have like a Toyota sticker or anything on your?
No. Mine has a little wrap like on the top on the pillar. It's like I have a white car and the pillar is black, so it's not like your normal Tesla. I think it looks pretty cool.
Sure.
I don't know if that helps, but also like I don't think a lot of people realize like all these cars or all the Teslas have cameras. So like if you're gonna do something, you're gonna get yourself caught.
100%. I think they're finding out now because there's a lot of people that are getting in trouble. But yeah, they record everything. So from my understanding, the way that it can tell. Do you have self-driving?
I don't have self-driving.
So, from my understanding, the way that I can tell that you're like looking down or at your phone or not paying attention, and it says like turn the wheel or whatever the case is.
It does that on autopilot too.
Yeah. So there's a camera in the screen that's like always going. Right?
At least on mine, above like the rear view mirror, there is a little camera on the inside.
You're always being watched at Tesla.
Yeah.
Like no.
My brother's like, if I had one of those, I'd cover that thing up with a sticker. I'm like. Doesn't really bother me. Like,
if you're gonna get that much autonomy, like invasion of privacy it's a must.
And I don't know about you, but I think I've driven on like, they give like a free trial every once in a while. They're pretty much there with the full self-driving. Like,
it's crazy.
I think they're doing like trials this summer in June in Texas and California. I would think in the next year to 2 years.
So Elon was also saying that if you're not using your Tesla, you can upload it to Fleet and it'll do Uber and Lyft for you. And then there's a rev share of like 80-20.
Yeah. So like
that's so badass.
Like when you're at work here and I'm at work, like we can just send our cars out. If it makes $50 a day or whatever, great.
A little bit of an asset. We're getting more away from the car being a liability to maybe we could get it to an asset.
If I had no car payment every month, I'd be ecstatic. Like,
fuck yeah.
I'd probably go buy another one and just put one on the fleet full time.
Yeah, totally.
Because you see people like doing like those like the fleets on like Turo and stuff, but also imagine like combining Turo with like Uber. Like, I think they're gonna crack the code, and I think
it's gonna be insane.
That's
when your Tesla stock is gonna just soar.
Kathy Wood thinks 2,600 a share in the next 5 years. She's had crazy price targets out there before, and she's hit them. So we'll see.
She knows all the behind the scenes shit. Like,
yeah,
she knows way more than us.
I mean, I
would not doubt
my stock account this December when Tesla was at like 490. I thought I was on top of the world, and now we're down at like 240 today. So it's like
it'll bounce right back.
But I'm like one of those guys that I trade a lot on Robinhood, or like my personal portfolio that I trade, and then my financial advisor has his. I don't really look at that one, but it's like, I just like going in and looking at the stock price every day for whatever reason.
I carry no stocks, only real estate.
Only real estate. It's good to know. But yeah, I'm just itching to get my second property now.
Yeah.
And obviously get a little closer
I think
to the
diversification is good, but at the same time, like, I just love real estate, and it's been so successful. It's like,
in the tax benefits,
when you're doing that shit, like, it's like, why would I have anything else? Like, why do I need to go put? No, yes, there's no tenant, there's no management, like the liquidity of it, of course, all those things. But maybe when I get older,
yeah,
I don't know.
And in 10 years, your real estate's going to be, who knows at this point how much higher it's going to be than it is currently, because we've seen some crazy appreciation over the last 5 years.
That's absolutely insane. There was a question that I was going to ask, but it is slipping. Something to do with... I can't remember. You got anything?
I mean, I think we cover like the main things, like first-time home buyers. Like, it's not a scary process to like get started. And
sorry. I know what I was going to ask.
Okay, shoot away.
Do you want me to ask you, or you want to keep going?
No, you asked me.
Okay. So speaking of cars, car payments, DTI, break down the 10 payment situation. I think a lot of people, that's the number one hurdle. It's like they have a car loan and it's just crushing their DTI.
Oh, 100%. Especially like new car payments are not cheap. The amount of like 800 plus car payments we see is pretty much like daily. And like if you're a first time home buyer, like new college grad within the last like 3 years, and you have an $800 car payment, and if you have student loans and stuff, like that's a big chunk out of your DTI. Like that's... Now, obviously, this is going to be dependent on every scenario, but like that could be like 100, 200,000 of buying power just gone because of that car payment. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but on conventional loans, as long as it's not a lease and it's like a finance, if you have 10 payments or less, we can exclude that payment from your DTI.
Yeah, that's it. So I would assume a lot of the times people will come and they got maybe 20 payments left. They take some of the down payment that they had saved up, throw down 10 months of payment on the principal, and then they hit that 10, and it's like, okay,
exactly.
DTI now we're good.
Yeah, there's a lot of tricks like behind the scenes that we can help people do. Like we can do rapid rescores. Like let's say your credit's at 750 and we want to get you to a 780 for the best rates out there. Well, I'm going to tell you to pay down $2,500 on your Citi card or whatever it's going to be, and we'll do a rapid rescore and raise it. And I think that's what sets some loan officers apart from others, where it's just like you're throwing they're just throwing numbers out there saying you're good and not really like digging into it, analyzing it. I did a pre-approval call last night at 8:30 for a client that was already pre-approved somewhere else. FHA loan. Needless to say, she had a $20,000 collection on there that with FHA loans, the collection has to be paid before doing anything. Well, I'm like, I can't just send you a pre-approval letter or anything. She's like, oh. She's like, I got to prove.
Why would she want to go get an accepted offer, pay for an inspection, pay for an appraisal? She's $2,000 down at that point. Like, people just want to gamble.
Yeah, but it's going back to the fact that not everyone's like doing the same quality of work. Like, this other loan officer sent her a pre-approval letter. Like, you should not have sent a pre-approval letter out whatsoever.
He's gonna lose her $2,000.
Yeah, I mean, they're not putting like any money out front. Like, the only money up front would be the appraisal, if and when that happens. And you can get your earnest money back most of the time, but
what I'm saying is she can't close with that $20,000 on.
Yeah,
in collections.
Yeah, got to be paid down.
Got to be paid down. So when that lender sends a pre-approval with there being a collection on there, she's gonna go spend all this time wasting the realtor.
You're gonna get into the deal and then dead.
She's wasting the realtor's time. And if I'm the realtor and I look at that LO's pre-approval.
You're just
like, fuck you, dude. Yeah. You wasted so much of my time. We looked at 20 properties, finally got one under contract. I was up at 10 p.m. getting this under contract for you. Okay, we're under contract. Then we got, okay.
And that's a hard thing to do right now to get it under contract.
The realtor goes to inspection. The buyer goes to inspection. The inspection's $700.
Yeah.
So we got all that wasted time for both of them.
You're out the $700.
Out to $700. Then we go, okay, next step, appraisal. Out the appraisal.
Now, hopefully, you wouldn't go that far along in the process before an underwriter picks it up and catches it and be like, all right, this is dead in the water.
How long are you seeing inspections right now?
Inspections, pretty quick.
7 days?
I think it's more dependent on when the buyer wants to do it. I mean, let's say if you go under contract on, say, a Friday, I would say by Monday, most of the inspections are done already. So I think it's important in this market that you have your team, like your realtor, your lender, your attorney, and your inspector.
I think there is a large problem with lenders not submitting files right away.
Yeah.
Like, I think they sit on the file and don't get it to underwriting as quickly as needed to.
But also that could be on like the borrower too. So like when I get a new file, I'm going to ask, depending on like if I can verify your income online, your list is going to be pretty short. Bank statements and photo ID. But like if I need W-2s, pay stubs and stuff, if you don't get me that for a week, it's not getting to the underwriter until I have that. So
100%. Yeah, that's a good
It kind of goes both ways. Like I follow up my clients every few days. I don't want to overwhelm them, but also like I want to get this moving. Like I want to turn my files as fast as I can.
I think that not unless you're an investor or have bought many properties before, whatever. I think that there's a misconception within buyers that when we're asking, like, or when you're asking for that, or like I have to get the deck page to the lender to show proof of insurance, like
the mortgage clause.
All this shit happens very fast, and sometimes it comes off as like slimy or salesy. Like maybe they're just trying to push me into this deal and they want me to close so they can get paid or whatever. But like, no, there is so much shit that happens in the 30 to 45 day closing window that
and not even
it has to be that way.
There's deadlines in the contract that you as the buyer have to make.
100%.
Otherwise, your earnest money could technically be on the line. Now, if you're working with a good attorney and lender, they're going to extend the mortgage contingency if you need it. But if you forget to extend it and something goes wrong,
It's interesting this being an attorney state as well, because I know Wisconsin was not, Florida was not.
I think Illinois is one of the rare states that has attorneys. And I wouldn't even say it's just Illinois. I had a deal last fall or around Christmas, I think, like Southern Illinois, no attorneys involved. And then also their title fees, super cheap. Versus you come up here, title's an arm and a leg. I always joke with all my clients and say, hey, I want to own a title company someday.
Everyone's got to have their hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah, and that's one of the lines.
Title is bullshit. Total bullshit.
Yeah, until you need it.
Yeah, but until we like.
I think one of the biggest hands in the cookie jar.
It's just being lobbied, right? Like, so there's this female named Karen Kugler. I took her title insurance license course in Florida, but she is kind of the head honcho for like the southeastern corridor. And she's going through all this stuff like, they're trying to get rid of it. But then there's a couple title companies that make so much money from it. They're just lobbying to keep it in. But is it necessary? No. Especially with like blockchain technology. Like it is such a fucking scam. Like there's so many pieces and fluff that need to be trimmed. And we need Doge in real estate.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see if like the blockchain gets into like the real estate world, you know?
It's too easy to track title with blockchain.
Yeah. I mean, it's right there. Anyone can
Why the fuck
look
are we
it
having it on paper anyways? Like,
maybe you got a new idea for us.
Nah, this has been brought up so many times, but it's like, it's gonna get bought by a title. It's gonna get bought by Stewart Title, a title company. They're gonna get bought out, just like pharma. Every time somebody has this big, great idea that's gonna save a lot of lives, gets bought out by pharma, and then we're back in the drain again. It's gonna happen that way with title, unless somebody really, I don't know. They probably get killed before it happens anyways. Like, there's too much money in title to eliminate it.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I don't mean to go dark, but it's like they are really like, I've done a lot of research on title and it's very like ridiculous.
Yeah. And you have some states that I don't know Florida off the top of my head just because I don't do many deals there, but it's like Florida might have cheap title versus Illinois title's expensive. Yeah. Michigan title, I think, is expensive. Or Indiana title, cheap. Like there's no rhyme or reason why Illinois is $4,000 for title and Indiana is $1,000 or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, lenders have a lot to do with title too, and like needing that protection. But again, if the system was set the right way, like it wouldn't be as cumbersome and it wouldn't be as big of a deal.
100%.
They actually did. UWM did actually play, I think, with not having title insurance, I believe.
Wow.
I'm pretty
sure. That's a lot
sure.
of liability, I feel like.
I forget what the exact situation was, but I'm almost. Do you ever use UWM? Are you guys brokers or?
No, we're a bank, all in-house. Now we have the ability, like we have some like products that we shop out, but I would say like 90% is our own products, and because of that, like 90% of what I do, we're servicing.
Have you ever been to the UWM campus at all? I don't know if you've been with.
I've never. We don't really broker stuff out really at all.
You've been with CMG your whole career?
No. So I was with a smaller shop here in Chicago before that, and then when we switched last January, so a little over a year ago now. We started on the CMG side just because Select was still getting licensed in Chicago or in Illinois. Nothing gets done quick in Illinois. So the Select license came through, I think, in like June or July, and then that's when we switched over to Select.
Nice. I don't know if it. I thought it was really cool going to UWM. So if you can ever get your hands, even though you don't broker, you know what I mean. Like it's inspiring.
Yeah.
It's anything that big is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Like I'm sure you've seen like the Rocket stuff, how they bought Mr. Cooper and Redfin. Like, be interesting to see like how.
You know where I think the real estate world's going? I think the real estate is going Zillow, and then Rocket, Redfin, and then Compass is kind of like Compass is in there.
Is trying to make a play,
but I don't think they have it necessarily like.
Well, Compass is buying Zillow. At properties right now. And I think they say they're going to stay separate entities, but I think once that deal closes, everyone that's going to be is going to be it's just going to be Compass.
But they know they have to do that to compete. But I still think that they're behind Zillow. Zillow's fucking crazy. Like I don't know. Do you guys spend for ads on Zillow at all?
No. Some agents we know do, but I think it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
and like honestly, like when we like look up a property to run numbers on it, we are always using Redfin. Like it's the easiest site to like. We'll go and pull like the tax pin and go to the county website and look up the taxes accurately because sometimes a lot of these listing agents have the taxes wrong on Redfin.
Do you think Rocket's going to swamp the market? Like, do you look at it as a negative thing for like your particular business?
It's so hard to say just because we don't know what the outcome of them doing all this is going to be yet. But I think we can kind of see their goal is they're trying to own the process from start to beginning. So Mr. Cooper's a servicer, kind of like how my company services loans. They're buying like the data from them. So like if and when another refi boom comes, they're going to be able to just go.
Yeah, like click the fucking button.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But I do think for sure you're going to see a consolidation of like in-house lenders for real estate. At Properties has their own in-house lender. My company is an in-house lender for another real estate company. I think that's where you're going to see the shift, and it's already started.
Mm-hmm. That's very, very interesting.
And I think you're going to see insurance get looped into that too.
I would assume so. I mean, from start to finish, like you said, title, I mean, realtor, lender, title, insurance, like.
Yeah.
And attorney in this goddamn state. I don't know why an attorney needs to be involved.
Yeah. And they make a good chunk of money on
another fucking hand in the cookie jar, which makes it more difficult for you because it's another closing cost. It's another closing cost that as an investor, it's like.
And so, like when buying in the city of Chicago, I tell my clients there's going to be 5 main closing costs. I only control one of them, which is like the processing and underwriting fee. The other 4 would be there even if you paid cash for the property.
Yeah.
And I always say for the city of Chicago, transfer taxes. Of course, the city of Chicago wants to get their hand in the cookie jar. And that adds up like $7.50 for every 1,000 of your purchase price here in the city.
Damn.
So usually that and your title is going to be your 2 biggest closing costs, and we have no control over it, unfortunately.
Yeah. That's interesting. Any other good last nuggets before we wrap things up here?
What avenue you want to?
Whatever you want. Is there any advice? Any like edges that you can give buyers, people, anything that you think is interesting about yourself that's going to stand out?
Not necessarily about me, but I would say for anyone that's looking to get into a property, more so focus on like the monthly payment. Are you comfortable with it? Can you afford it? Versus like what's my rate? Because you and I don't know what's going to happen with rates. They might stay here for the next 10 years. I don't know. Now, I will confidently say I don't think we're going to ever see like a 2 or 3 or probably even a 4 again in our lifetime, unless like another COVID 2.0 happens. Now, I think we'll get into like the high and mid 5s eventually, but maybe that's not for 5 years. So instead of like putting off your dream or goal for now, I would say focus on the monthly payment. If you're good with it, then proceed and move on.
I think one thing people also forget is like if you're going through underwriting, you're getting a loan shoved through, like the bank wants to make sure that they make their money. So if you're approved, like it's a pretty conservative approach. Like if you can, everybody says this 30% DTI is supposed to be the goal and all this shit.
And we can go up to 50 on a conventional and like 58.99 on the back end ratio on an FHA.
Exactly.
And honestly, you want to be less than that just because like we're taking your gross income, not like your after tax stuff.
Sure. I would say like people get scared. They're like, oh, my DTI is at 50%. Like, am I going to make it? Like, yes, you're going to make it because the bank says you're going to make it. Like, and they have very strict underwriting guidelines. So, like, and if you're approved, you're fine.
Yeah, and this isn't like the wild, wild west of like 08. Like
Pre-2008 was ridiculous.
People think like, oh, there's going to be another big crash. Like, every borrower goes through the ringer. They're very well qualified. Like,
you can't
now, if you lose your job or something, yes, you could maybe like you have to sell the house or go in foreclosure,
or just get another fucking job.
Yeah, but honestly, there's nothing really on the horizon that should cause anything like that ever again.
They fixed a lot of the issues from 2008, and that's what people don't realize is like you're scrutinized.
Like your dog in 08 could have gotten a loan. Like that's how bad it was.
My mom would say my mom was a single mom with 2 kids at 21 and was walking in like saying she made $300,000 and she was getting a loan 0% down. Like what the fuck?
They were called liar
I would love to do that nowadays. Like I would love, like man, if I had that opportunity, I would have so many more properties and it would work and it'd be great. And,
now, as long as your renters didn't stop paying you, you'd be fine. And if they weren't ARMs either, I think that was the big downfall of 08 was a lot of those bad loans were ARMs. And when shit hit the fan into the economy, the rates adjusted and people couldn't make the payments. And then everyone started losing their jobs, which didn't help.
Crazy. What a different time, man.
Yeah.
But here we are. Awesome. Well, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jack, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Alec. Much appreciated.
Yeah, it was great talking to you. Hopefully we'll run it back again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, man.
Yeah, bye.